Oh man, I can't believe it. No cash, no car, and worst of all, I lost my damn Pantera CD. I mean, really, that is the last time I ever let a chick call me into gambling with the local mafia. Well, aside from my bass guitar here, I really just have one friend left in this world. Television. Let's see what's on the tube tonight.
A message to our valued customers from the Post Cereal Company.
Slim Dot Cereal! Slim Dot Cereal! Slim Dot Cereal! Slim Dot Cereal! Yummy!
Tired of breakfast being about health and nutrition?
Slim Dot Cereal!
Make it about mayhem and death with Slim Dot Cereal.
Watch out!
Made from the broken dreams of poor orphans and soaked in the tears of 1,000 years of war, Slipknot cereal provides 0% of your daily vitamin and nutritional needs. Corey Taylor of Slipknot has this message for concerned parents.
Everyone is dumb, and you can print that. Corey Taylor said, everyone is dumb. Well, what do you mean by that? I meant you're dumb, okay?
1 in every 100 boxes of Slipknot cereal guaranteed to make you shit blood.
Shitting blood is metal!
All Slipknot masks are tasty marshmallows except for clowns, which contain small fragments of glass.
Eating glass is metal!
Slipknot cereal.
Are you stupid?
Proud sponsor of the Jason Ellis Show.
Slim Dot Cereal!
Okay man, the hell with that. I need a game to take my mind off that frightening yet surprisingly gnarly commercial. So let's take a look at Gex. In the 90s, gaming mascots were everywhere, dude. They had Mario, Sonic, Crash Bandicoot, Mega Man, Pac-Man, and so forth. Yet out of all of them, I don't think any of them could stand the test of time like Gex the Gecko. And no, this isn't the damn gecko from the Geico commercials. With Panasonic releasing their new console to compete with the likes of the SEGA CD, Crystal Dynamics, now known mostly for Soul Reaver and Tomb Raider, they decided to cash in on the mascot craze and give the 3DO their unofficial mascot. This came in the form of Gex, a TV-loving lizard who puts the crack in wisecrack like a stoner puts the crack in a crack pipe. But unlike a mascot such as Sonic or Crash, there really isn't much to tell about Gex's history, so let's take a look at the story. Now I would summarize the story with my sarcastic charm and witty commentary, but let's have Gex explain it.
It all started so simply. I had just finished my usual morning routine of nude funkercise, fired up the Barcalounger, grabbed a quick bite to eat, and prepared to watch some serious tube. Little did I know, my snack was sent by Rez.
You are mine.
And that's the story, Escape from the Media Dimension. Man, this is a really bare-bones story, like, seriously dude, I know it was only 1994, but dude, like, give us a bit more to work with than that, man, seriously. Well, according to online sources, there is a bit more of a storyline, but it's never really mentioned anywhere in the games, and to my knowledge, outside of the Gex 3 deep-covered Gecko novel, we really don't have much to work with here, so let's just say screw it and jump into the gameplay. But first it's time for Skully's Fun Fact of the Week. PZYPRXYL, or if you live in Australia, ZYYPRDYL. Dude, you're totally gonna thank me for that later. Gex is a 2D platformer, so as you can tell, the main gameplay focus will come in the form of jumping and running to platform your way across the areas of the media dimension. These levels consist of TV tropes such as horror, cartoons, jungle themes, kung fu shenanigans, and of course the cyberpunk final zone area that is Rez's domain. Your main objective in each level is to collect a remote that is hidden within the level and then completing the level with that remote to unlock the next stage. However, some areas do also contain videotapes, which brings me to my first criticism. Now, I'm not sure if any gamers from my generation remember this, but you remember that one Christmas morning when you woke up and found your PS2 under the Christmas tree and you found out that you couldn't save your games? Well, apparently the 90s had that covered with a password system. Now this might be attributed to how spoiled we've been with modern generation consoles having better saving capabilities, and that this was a 3DO and very early PS1 title where I'm guessing memory cards cost like way more than they did during the PS2 era. But you better make damn sure that you bring a pen and paper with you if you're even considering on turning off the game and you're already halfway through it. Because if you don't, then hey, congrats man, your sorry ass is headed right back to the beginning of the game. What's that? You didn't bother to write those passwords down? Whoops, sorry dude. I know it seems most unradical to start off on a negative note, but I feel that this is something that really ages the game in a very archaic manner, that I feel that games that had save features on the SNES and Mega Drive outdo Gex in that respect. Trust me man, I totally hate to harp on the password system, but it's something in video games that annoys the hell out of me. Yet thankfully it rightfully died off when memory cards became a lot more common. Getting back to the game at hand, Gex has quite a few moves at his disposal. Control-wise, he can jump by pressing the X button as you'd expect from a platformer, but he can also tail whip enemies by pressing the square button and run by holding down the L1 button. However, if you find these controls uncomfortable, you can customize the controls to your liking in the options menu. In addition to that, Gex also has the generic game cliche of getting some totally radical power-ups to use during the game. These power-ups range from a speed boost, ice breath, fire breath, lightning bolts, a super jump, and invincibility. However, what gives Gex the advantage over most platformers of that time is the ability to climb on walls. This ability can be used to cheese your way across walls and ceilings, therefore bypassing hazards such as liquid res. Not to say that it makes the game any easier, but it does add a bit of depth when it comes to platforming. As for bosses, this game has one per area. There's a demon chick, a guy which looks like a Superman cosplayer, a huge worm thing, a turtle with some gnarly rocket boosters, and of course the bogus dude behind it all, Rez. By the way, I'm not sure if anyone agrees with me on this, but am I the only one who thinks that Rez is friggin' terrifying? I mean, seriously, imagine you just watched a marathon of horror movies, you turn off the lights, go to bed, and suddenly you see that damn face haunting your nightmares. I mean, I can't say I saw this when I was a kid, but I have, like, totally huge sympathy for those that did, man. As far as the gameplay goes, Gex isn't really anything all that special gameplay-wise. I mean, his ability to climb walls is interesting, but aside from that, it's really just your typical run-of-the-mill platformer, which, in the 90s, were a dime a dozen. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Gex's gameplay is bad, but at the same time, there are already several platformers out there doing the exact same thing, and you could argue that Gex handled it better than most, but regardless, to me it just seems fairly average for platformer standards. So with that all said, let's take a look at the presentation. Graphically, Gex is a hybrid of 2D sprites and pre-rendered 3D sprites. Well, only two pre-rendered sprites being Gex and Rez, both of which were just ripped straight from the CG cutscene. The game's level graphics, however, all hold up pretty well, considering that the game was made in 1994 for the 3DO, which is pretty commendable for a game from back then. Personally, I think it comes down more to the art style than the graphics themselves, but regardless, it totally helped in making the game look bodacious 2 decades on. The game's soundtrack ranges from all sorts of musical pieces, from a techno-sounding industrial vibe to jungle beats and some unusually cheesy horror music. The best thing about the music is that no matter what level you're in, it's totally catchy, man. Although, particular favourites of mine would really go to Rez's theme. It's a short loop, I know, but it's still one of my favourite tracks in the game, if only for the fact that it sounds so soulless and devoid of emotion, man. But now we delve into the game's strong point, which would be the character of Gex himself, voiced by comedian Dana Gould. Dude, like, what a totally lame staying name, man. Like, Dana Gould, your parents must have, like, seriously hated you, man. Despite his girly name, this dude more than makes up for that with his ability to write jokes, man. Being the TV-loving lizard that Gex is, throughout the game, he'll make several pop cultural references, innuendos, and one-liners from TV shows and movies, which is great in giving something that both the kids and older audiences can enjoy. And what really does it is Dana's voice acting for the character, because he honestly sounds like the sort of dude who watches a lot of TV, mostly because of his impersonations of characters from several TV shows. Huh. You know, I guess that's why they call him the Amazing Talking Man.
Overall, I'd say the game's presentation is ultimately what sells it. I mean, Gex as a character has a sense of humour that I think in this day and age of internet memes would do pretty well to sell to today's gaming market.
Final thoughts? Gex rocks, man.
Gex is a pretty rad 2D platformer with great presentation, gnarly writing, a bodacious soundtrack, and it still looks just as radical as it did back when it first came out. But it's just damn fun to play even when you're down and out, man.
Hey, cool. I wonder what's on HBO.
But of course the game isn't without its drawbacks, namely its damn password system.
The password system to me is what's going to be the deal breaker here. Either you're going to be totally chilled with it and write them down with a pen and paper, or you're going to do what every other lame-stained teenager on the internet does and use cheat codes.
Kids, there's nothing more cool than beating a game the way that you like. But if GameFAQs tries to give you cheat codes when you don't want them to, that's no good. It's your gaming experience. No one should have the right to give you cheat codes if you don't want them to, so what do? First, you say no. Then, you get out of it. Most important, you gotta just tough it out, man. I know you can beat it. I believe in you, dude.
All in all, I recommend you give Gex a shot. If you're a big fan of 2D platformers and pop culture, then you're gonna get a gnarly kick out of this game.
Well, now that that's over and done with, actually, I can't even remember why I wanted to review this game in the first place. Whatever, wonder what's on TV.
Head Crusher is live tonight with your host, Dave Mustaine, featuring a new lineup of prisoners. The only show on TV where punishment is handed out and justice is served. All verdicts are final. Let the games begin.
Oh, dude, sweet! Well, I'm Skully, douchebags and metalheads keep it new metal and jam to Megadeth.
Where are you?